Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his warship looking out at the stars. His ship, the TDF Horizon, floated silently in space near Earth. Through the large windows, he could see another alien ship approaching their solar system. This was the 15th one this year. "Sir, the alien ship is sending the same message again," said Lieutenant Amy Foster from her station. She turned to look at Morrison with tired eyes. "They want to talk to Earth's leaders about joining something called the Galactic Council." Morrison nodded slowly. He had heard this message many times before. For over 200 years, alien ships had been coming to Earth with the same request. They wanted humans to join their big group of planets. But Earth's leaders had given Morrison clear orders. Say nothing, do nothing, just watch and learn. "Keep monitoring them," Morrison said. "Don't answer their calls. Let them think we're too simple to understand." Down on Earth, Dr. Lisa Carter was working late in her lab. She was studying the alien visitors, trying to learn everything she could about them. Her computer screens showed pictures and videos of alien ships from the past 50 years. Each ship looked different, but they all carried the same message. Lisa had learned to speak 12 different alien languages just by listening to their broadcast messages. She knew the names of their planets, their leaders, and their military ranks. What worried her most was what she had discovered about their history. The Galactic Council claimed to be peaceful. They said they wanted to bring all intelligent species together in friendship. But Lisa had found evidence that this was not true. She had intercepted old messages between Council ships. These messages told a different story. Any planet that refused to join the Council had terrible things happen to them. Some were conquered by force. Others were cut off from trade until their people starved. A few planets had their entire populations moved to prison worlds. The Council always made it look like they were helping, but they were really just taking control. Captain Ryan Blake was far from Earth, flying his small scout ship through alien space. His ship was built with technology that Earth had stolen from crashed alien probes. The aliens could not see him on their sensors. This let him watch their military bases and listen to their private communications. Ryan had been doing this dangerous work for 5 years. He had seen the Council's true military strength. They had thousands of warships spread across hundreds of star systems. Each ship was bigger and more powerful than anything Earth had ever built. At least that's what the aliens thought. "Control, this is Blake," Ryan whispered into his radio. "I'm watching another convoy of Council ships. They're heading toward the Rigel system. The people there refused to join last month." "Copy that, Blake," came the voice of his commander back on Earth. "Get back here safely. We need your report." Ryan knew what would happen to the Rigel system. In a few weeks, the Council would announce that Rigel had asked for help with some emergency. Then Council ships would arrive to provide assistance. The Rigel people would never be seen again as free beings. Back in the solar system, President Helen Carter was meeting with her top advisors. The latest alien ship had been broadcasting for 3 days straight. The aliens were getting angry about Earth's silence. Some of their messages were starting to sound like threats. "They're losing patience with us," said Secretary of Defense Paul Rodriguez. "My sources tell me the Council is planning something bigger than just sending one ship." President Carter nodded. She had been expecting this day for years. Earth's leaders had known that eventually the Council would try to force them to join. That's why Earth had been preparing in secret. "How much longer do we need?" she asked General Karen Walsh. 6 more months would be perfect," Walsh replied. "But we could manage with 3 if we had to." General Walsh was in charge of Earth's secret military project. For 50 years, Earth had been building a hidden fleet of warships. They were not built on Earth where alien satellites could see them. Instead, they were built in secret bases throughout the solar system. The aliens thought Earth was weak because they could only see Earth's old simple warships. These ships were deliberately kept visible to fool alien scouts. The real Earth fleet was hidden behind asteroids on the far side of moons, and in deep space where no one would look. Dr. Nathan Cross was the scientist in charge of Earth's weapons research. While aliens used energy beams and plasma cannons, humans had developed something different. They built weapons that shot solid metal projectiles at incredibly high speeds. These simple bullets could punch through the energy shields that protected alien ships. Nathan had studied alien technology for decades. He learned that all alien species had developed similar weapons and defenses. They all used the same basic ideas. This made them predictable. Earth's weapons were completely different, which would give humans a big advantage in battle. Commander Alex Turner was at the Luna shipyards, hidden on the dark side of Earth's moon. Around him, thousands of workers were putting the finishing touches on Earth's secret fleet. The ships looked nothing like the crude metal boxes that aliens had seen near Earth. These were sleek, deadly warships designed specifically to fight aliens. "How many ships are ready?" Turner asked his assistant. 873, sir. The rest will be finished within 2 months. Turner smiled. The aliens expected to find a few dozen primitive human ships. Instead, they would face nearly 1,000 advanced warships crewed by people who had been training for this fight their entire lives. The alien ship in Earth orbit finally gave up trying to contact humans. Its captain sent a message back to the Council saying that Earth was still too primitive to respond. The Council leaders were not happy with this news. They had been patient with Earth for 2 centuries, but their patience was running out. What the aliens did not know was that every message they sent was intercepted and decoded by Earth's intelligence services. Humans knew exactly what the Council was planning. They knew about the big fleet that was being prepared to force Earth into submission. They knew about the invasion schedule and the battle plans. Earth had used these 2 centuries well. While pretending to be primitive and ignorant, humans had actually become the most dangerous military force in the galaxy. Soon, the Galactic Council would learn that sometimes the quiet ones are the most dangerous of all. High Admiral Vexnar of the Korthak Empire was not a patient being. His red skin was covered in battle scars from a dozen wars across the galaxy. He had conquered rebellious worlds for the Galactic Council for over 30 years. Now the Council had given him a new mission: force Earth to join them or destroy the planet completely. Vexnar stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at a display showing his fleet. 200 warships floated in space, ready to jump to the Sol system. Each ship carried enough firepower to level a city. Together, they could turn Earth's surface into molten rock. "Admiral, all ships report ready for jump," said his tactical officer, a thin blue alien with 4 arms. "The fleet can reach Earth in 6 standard months." "Good," Vexnar growled. "The Council has been too soft with these humans. When I'm finished, they'll beg to join us." The alien had fought against dozens of species before. None had ever withstood the might of a Council fleet. He expected the humans to surrender the moment they saw his ships approaching their planet. On Earth, emergency. Sirens wailed across every major city. President Helen Carter had called an emergency meeting of the United Earth government. Representatives from every nation gathered in the underground bunker that served as their crisis command center. "Ladies and gentlemen," President Carter said, her voice echoing in the large room. "Our long-range sensors have detected a massive alien fleet heading toward Earth. They will arrive in approximately 6 months." The room erupted in panicked voices. Some representatives shouted that Earth should surrender immediately. Others demanded to know why Earth had ignored the aliens for so long. President Carter raised her hand for silence. "We have been preparing for this day for 50 years, she said calmly. "I know many of you think we should give up and join their council, but I want you to know the truth about what that really means." Dr. Lisa Carter, the president's sister, stood up and activated a large screen. Images appeared showing alien worlds that had been conquered by the council, cities in ruins, populations working as slaves, entire species that had simply disappeared. "This is what happens to planets that join the Galactic Council," Lisa explained. "They become property of the council. Their people lose all freedom. Many species have been wiped out completely when they stopped being useful." Secretary of Defense Paul Rodriguez took over the presentation. He showed the representatives images of the approaching alien fleet. The ships were massive, each one the size of a small city. Their weapons could destroy Earth's largest buildings with a single shot. "Our public military forces stand no chance against this fleet," Rodriguez admitted. "Our space navy has only 30 ships. Our orbital defense platforms are outnumbered, 40 to 1. If we fight with what the aliens can see, we will lose badly. Many representatives began shouting again, demanding to know why Earth was not surrendering. Some accused the government of planning to get everyone killed. President Carter stood up and raised her voice. "Because we are not going to fight with what they can see," she announced. "General Walsh, please show them Project Sentinel." General, Karen Walsh had been quiet during the meeting, sitting at the back of the room. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes were sharp and determined. She walked to the front of the room and connected her personal device to the main screen. "For the past 50 years, Walsh began, Earth has been building a secret military force. We have shipyards hidden throughout the solar system. We have weapons that alien technology cannot defend against, and we have been training for this exact situation." The screen showed images that made the representatives gasp in amazement. Hidden bases on asteroids, massive shipyards behind Jupiter's moons, and weapons factories built inside hollowed-out planetoids. Earth had been busy while pretending to be primitive. "How many ships do we really have?" asked the representative from Brazil, her voice barely a whisper. "Nearly 1,000 combat vessels," Walsh replied. "Each one designed specifically to fight alien technology. Each one crewed by people who have trained their entire lives for this battle." Dr. Nathan Cross was called forward to explain Earth's weapons technology. He was a thin man with thick glasses, who looked more like a librarian than a weapons designer. But his soft voice carried absolute confidence as he spoke. "The aliens use energy weapons and energy shields," Cross explained. "Every species in the galaxy fights the same way, but humans took a different approach. We perfected kinetic weapons, solid projectiles moving at extremely high speeds." He showed them videos of test firings. Simple metal rods, accelerated to incredible velocities, punched through alien shield generators like they were made of paper. The alien energy defenses were useless against old-fashioned bullets moving fast enough. "Their shields can stop plasma beams and laser cannons," Cross said with a small smile. "But they can't stop a chunk of tungsten moving at 20% of light speed." Commander Alex Turner was brought in from the Luna shipyards to brief the representatives on Earth's fleet readiness. He was a large man with calloused hands from years of working in space construction. His simple words carried the weight of absolute certainty. "Every ship is ready to fight," Turner reported. "Our crews have been training in secret for decades. We know alien tactics because we've been watching them for 2 centuries. They know nothing about how we fight because we've never shown them." The representatives sat in stunned silence as they absorbed this information. Earth was not the helpless world they had thought. It was a military power that had been hiding its strength for generations. President Carter stood up again, her voice now filled with determination. "The aliens are coming to conquer us. They expect to find a weak planet with primitive weapons. Instead, they're going to discover that Earth has been preparing for war since their first ship arrived." She looked around the room at each representative. "I'm not asking you to vote on whether we should fight. That decision was made 50 years ago by people much wiser than us. I'm asking you to trust that Earth is ready for what's coming." The vote was unanimous. Earth would not surrender to the Galactic Council. When the alien fleet arrived, they would find humanity ready and waiting. The planet that had ignored every invitation was about to send a message that the entire galaxy would never forget. As the representatives filed out of the bunker, Admiral Morrison received new orders through his encrypted communications. Operation Homecoming was now active. Earth's hidden fleet began moving into position throughout the solar system, preparing to spring the largest military surprise in galactic history. Captain Steve Miller watched his instruments carefully as the alien fleet entered the outer solar system. His ship, the TDF Guardian, was one of Earth's older vessels that the aliens were allowed to see. Miller's job was to make the aliens think Earth was weak and unprepared for battle. "Sir, the alien ships are scanning us," reported his communications officer, Lieutenant Danny Cooper. "They're reading our weapons and shield strength." "Perfect," Miller said with a grin. "Let them see exactly what we want them to see." The TDF Guardian looked like an old clunky warship from Earth's early space program. Its hull was made of basic steel alloy. Its weapons were simple projectile cannons that fired slow-moving shells. Its shields were weak energy barriers that could barely stop a meteor impact. But this was all an act. Hidden inside the Guardian's crude hull were sophisticated sensors and communication equipment. Miller and his crew were actually elite intelligence officers whose job was to fool the aliens while gathering information about their fleet. They're transmitting data about our capabilities back to their command ship, Cooper reported. The aliens think we have primitive technology and outdated weapon systems. High Admiral Vexnar received the scan results on his flagship with satisfaction. The human ships were even weaker than he had expected. Their weapons would barely scratch the paint on his vessels. Their shields could not stop even his lightest attack craft. How many human ships are we detecting? Vexnar asked his sensor. Operator. 37 combat vessels, Admiral. All of them appear to be using primitive technology. Their largest ship is only 200 meters long. Vexnar laughed, a sound like grinding metal. His flagship alone was over 2 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy a moon. 37 primitive human ships would be destroyed in minutes. What the aliens could not detect were the thousands of human ships hiding throughout the solar system. Colonel Amy Foster was coordinating their positions from a secret command center built inside an asteroid. Her screen showed the real strength of Earth's fleet. Ghost Squadron is in position behind Jupiter, reported one of her officers. Phantom Wing is hidden in the asteroid belt. Shadow Fleet is stationed beyond Neptune orbit. Foster smiled as she watched the alien fleet move deeper into the solar system. They had no idea they were flying into the most carefully planned trap. In military history, the hidden Earthships used special technology that made them invisible to alien sensors. Their hulls were coated with materials that absorbed sensor beams instead of reflecting them. Their engines produced no heat signature that aliens could detect. To enemy scanners, they simply did not exist. Dr. Ellen Price was monitoring the aliens from Earth's main military command center. As the planet's leading expert on alien psychology, she was trying to predict how the enemy would behave during the coming battle. They're overconfident, Price reported to Admiral Morrison. Their fleet formation shows they expect no real resistance. They're not even maintaining proper defensive spacing. Morrison nodded as he studied the tactical display. The alien ships were spread out across several million kilometers, positioned to intimidate rather than fight. This was exactly what Earth's military planners had hoped for. Captain Rick Hayes commanded one of Earth's advanced stealth frigates hidden near Mars. His ship, the TDF Whisper, was watching the alien fleet's movements and preparing to relay targeting data to the main attack force. "Sir, I'm detecting something interesting," said his sensor operator, Ensign Kate Murphy. "The alien ships are using old-style shield generators, the kind our kinetic weapons were specifically designed to penetrate." Hayes smiled grimly. Earth's weapons designers had studied alien technology for decades. They knew exactly how alien shields worked and had built weapons that could defeat them. The aliens had no idea their defenses were useless against human attacks. Meanwhile, Commander Lisa Park was preparing her boarding teams on the hidden assault carrier TDF Storm. Her Marines had trained for years to fight aliens in zero-gravity combat. They wore special armor designed to protect against alien energy weapons while allowing maximum mobility. "Remember," Park told her troops, "aliens have never fought humans before. They don't know our tactics or our capabilities. Use that advantage." The Marines nodded silently. They had studied alien biology and psychology. They knew where aliens were vulnerable and how they thought. Most importantly, they knew that most alien species had become soft after centuries of easy victories against primitive opponents. Back on the flagship of the alien fleet, High Admiral Vexnar was growing impatient. His ships had been in the Sol system for 3 days, and the humans still had not responded to his demands. It was time to show them the consequences of ignoring the Galactic Council. "Send the final ultimatum," Vexnar ordered. "Tell the humans they have 24 hours to surrender unconditionally. After that, we will begin destroying their cities." The message was broadcast on all frequencies toward Earth. Vexnar expected the humans to panic and beg for mercy. Instead, there was only silence. The primitive planet seemed determined to resist despite being hopelessly outnumbered. Admiral Morrison received the alien ultimatum in his command center aboard the hidden battleship TDF Liberty. Around him, his staff officers prepared for the moment they had trained for their entire careers. After 2 centuries of preparation, Earth was finally ready to reveal its true strength. "Signal all fleet commanders," Morrison ordered. "Operation Homecoming begins in 24 hours. All ships are to power up weapons and prepare for combat." Throughout the solar system, nearly 1,000 human warships began their final preparations. Crews that had trained in secret for decades made last-minute checks on their equipment. Weapons that had never been fired in anger were loaded and targeted. The aliens thought they were about to fight 37 primitive ships with crude weapons. Instead, they were about to face the most advanced military force in the galaxy. Earth had spent 2 centuries preparing for this moment, and now it was time to show the galaxy what humans could do when they were properly motivated. Captain Miller broadcast one final message from his decoy ship, making it sound like Earth's. Leaders were panicking and trying to organize a desperate defense. The aliens intercepted this message and laughed at human foolishness. In 24 hours, High Admiral Vexnar would discover that sometimes the biggest fools are those who underestimate their enemies. The Galactic Council was about to learn that Earth's silence had not been a sign of weakness, but a sign of very careful planning. The 24 hours passed like a slow countdown to Judgment Day. High Admiral Vexnar stood on his bridge, watching the tactical display as his fleet moved into attack formation. 200 alien warships arranged themselves in a perfect assault pattern, ready to demonstrate the overwhelming power of the Galactic Council. "All ships report ready for attack," announced his tactical officer. "Human vessels are maintaining their pathetic defensive positions. They appear to be trying to protect their homeworld with 37 primitive ships." Vexnar nodded with satisfaction. This would be the easiest conquest of his career. After he destroyed the human fleet, he would give Earth one more chance to surrender. If they refused, he would start destroying their cities until they begged for mercy. "Begin the attack," Vexnar commanded. "Show these primitives what happens when they ignore the Council." The alien fleet moved forward, their weapons charging with deadly energy. Plasma cannons and particle beams prepared to tear through the simple human ships like paper. Victory seemed certain and swift. Then space around them began to shimmer. First, the alien sensors detected only minor distortions like heat waves in the vacuum of space. Then the distortions grew stronger, and something impossible began to happen. Ships started appearing from nothing, materializing out of empty space like ghosts becoming solid. "Admiral," the sensor operator said, his voice shaking with disbelief. "I'm detecting new contacts. Many new contacts." "How many?" Vexnar demanded, but his confident voice was beginning to show concern. "Sir, I'm reading... This can't be right. I'm reading over 1,000 human warships." The bridge fell silent except for the humming of equipment. Every alien officer stared at their instruments, unable to believe what they were seeing. The primitive humans who supposedly had only 37 ships were suddenly revealing a fleet that outnumbered the mighty Council forces 5-1. Captain Rick Hayes commanded the first wave of Earth's attack as his ship decloaked directly above the alien flagship. The TDF Spear was a sleek, deadly vessel that looked nothing like the crude human ships the aliens had studied. Its hull was black as space itself, covered in armor that could withstand anything in the alien arsenal. "All ships, this is Hayes," he broadcast on the attack frequency. "Target lock confirmed. Fire at will." The space around the alien fleet suddenly filled with streaks of light as hundreds of human ships opened fire simultaneously. But these were not the slow, clumsy weapons the aliens expected. Earth's kinetic projectiles moved so fast they appeared as flashes of lightning, crossing millions of kilometers in seconds. The first alien ship to be hit was a Zelonian cruiser. The captain barely had time to see the incoming projectile before a tungsten rod traveling at 20% of light speed punched through his ship's shields like they were made of tissue paper. The rod continued through the ship's hull, through its reactor core, and out the other side, leaving a perfectly round hole that vented atmosphere and crew into space. High Admiral Vexnar watched in horror as his fleet began taking devastating hits. Ship after ship reported critical damage or total destruction. Their energy shields, which had protected them against every weapon they had ever faced, were completely useless against the human kinetic bombardment. "Return fire," Vexnar screamed. "All ships return fire immediately." The alien fleet responded with everything they had: plasma beams and particle cannons lashed out at the human ships, striking their hulls with enough energy to melt mountains. But the human vessels seemed to absorb the attacks without serious damage. Their armor was designed specifically to disperse energy weapons, turning deadly beams into harmless heat that was quickly radiated away. Dr. Ellen Price watched the battle from Earth's command center, monitoring the psychological effects on the alien crews. Her instruments detected panic and confusion spreading through the enemy fleet as they realized their weapons were ineffective. "Admiral Morrison," she reported, "the aliens are experiencing what we predicted, complete shock and disbelief. They've never encountered weapons or defenses like ours before." Admiral Morrison nodded as he watched the tactical display. The battle was going exactly as Earth's strategists had planned. The aliens were technologically advanced, but they had become predictable. Every species in the galaxy fought the same way, used the same weapons, employed the same tactics. Humans had deliberately chosen a completely different path. Commander Lisa Park led the boarding assault on a crippled alien battleship. Her Marines moved through the ship's corridors with deadly efficiency, their training and equipment proving superior to anything the aliens could field. The enemy soldiers used to fighting primitive opponents with inferior weapons were completely overwhelmed by human tactics. "Secure the command deck," Park ordered as her team advanced. "We need their communications equipment and navigation, computers." The alien crew surrendered quickly once they realized resistance was hopeless. They had never faced soldiers as well trained and equipped as human Marines. Their energy weapons could barely scratch human armor, while human projectile weapons punched through alien personal shields with ease. Captain Steve Miller, still commanding his decoy ship, couldn't help but smile as he watched the real Earth fleet in action. The aliens who had scanned his vessel and laughed at its primitive weapons were now being destroyed by technology they couldn't understand or counter. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Cooper, "we're receiving surrender requests from multiple alien vessels. They're asking for quarter." Miller nodded. Earth's military leaders had planned for this possibility. Some alien ships would be captured intact to provide intelligence and technology. Others would be allowed to escape to carry the message back to the Galactic Council. High Admiral Vexnar's flagship was surrounded by human warships, its weapons destroyed and engines disabled. The proud alien commander who had expected an easy victory now faced the complete destruction of his fleet. Most of his ships were either destroyed or captured. The few that remained operational were trying desperately to escape. "Admiral," his communications officer reported with a trembling voice, "the humans are demanding our surrender. They're giving us 60 seconds to comply before they destroy the ship." Vexnar looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. These were veteran warriors who had conquered dozens of worlds. Now they stared at him with fear and defeat in their eyes. The impossible had happened. The primitive humans had not only resisted the Council's might but had completely destroyed it. Through his view screen, Vexnar could see human ships in every direction. Sleek, powerful vessels that moved with deadly grace through space. Ships that represented technology and tactics the galaxy had never seen before. Ships that proved the humans had been far from primitive. "Signal our surrender," Vexnar said, quietly, his voice filled with the bitter taste of defeat. Admiral Morrison received the surrender signal on his flagship. Around him, his officers cheered as they realized the battle was won. Earth's hidden fleet had achieved total victory against forces that were supposed to be invincible. "Send a message to all surviving alien vessels," Morrison ordered. "Tell them they are now prisoners of the Terran Defense Force, and prepare a special transmission for the Galactic Council. It's time they learned that Earth has been listening to them all along." Admiral Morrison stood before the main communication array aboard his flagship, the TDF Liberty. Behind him, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, still processing the magnitude of their victory. Through the viewports, the wreckage of the alien fleet drifted silently in space, a testament to Earth's hidden strength. "Open all channels," Morrison commanded. "Broadcast on every frequency the Galactic Council uses. Make sure every world in their territory receives this message." The communication officer nodded and activated the powerful transmitters. Morrison straightened his uniform and looked directly into the camera. His weathered face showed the calm confidence of a man who had just proven that Earth was far from helpless. "This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the Terran Defense Force speaking for the United Government of Earth," he began, his voice carrying across the galaxy. "For over 2 centuries, the Galactic Council has sent representatives to our world, demanding that we join your organization. Today we give you our official response." Morrison paused, letting his words sink in across the countless worlds that were receiving his transmission. "Earth formally declines membership in the Galactic Council. We reject your authority over our world and our people. The Sol system is hereby declared a restricted zone. Any Council vessels entering our space without permission will be treated as hostile and dealt with accordingly." On the Council's capital world of Nexus Prime, emergency sessions were being called as leaders tried to understand what had happened to their mighty fleet. Council member Zara, a tall reptilian being who served as military coordinator, stared at the communication screens in disbelief. "How is this possible?" she hissed to her fellow council members. "High Admiral Vexanar commanded 200 of our finest ships. Humans were supposed to be primitive. Their technology was basic, their numbers were small." "Apparently," said Council Member Drac, his blue skin pale with shock, "we were very wrong about the humans." Back on Earth, President Helen Carter was addressing the planet's population from the Emergency Command Center. Every television, radio, and computer screen on Earth carried her message to humanity's billions of citizens. "My fellow humans," she said, her voice calm but filled with pride. "Today marks the end of our long period of silence. For 2 centuries we have watched and learned while pretending to be weak. That deception has served us well. The galaxy now knows that Earth will not be conquered or controlled." She gestured to a screen showing images of the destroyed alien fleet. "Our military forces have achieved total victory against a fleet that was supposed to be invincible. But this victory belongs to every human who worked toward this day. The scientists who developed our weapons, the engineers who built our ships, the workers who labored in secret, and the soldiers who trained for a war they hoped would never come." General Karen Walsh was coordinating the aftermath of the battle from her command post. Reports flooded in from across the solar system as Earth's forces secured their victory. Captured alien ships were being towed to hidden facilities for study. Surviving alien crew members were being processed as prisoners of war. "Status report," Walsh requested from her aide, Colonel Tony Martinez. 93 alien vessels destroyed, 47 captured intact, 60 escaped back toward Council space, Martinez reported. "Human casualties are minimal. 3 ships damaged, no vessels lost, 17 personnel wounded, 0 fatalities." Walsh nodded with satisfaction. The battle had gone even better than their most optimistic projections. Earth's technological advantages had proven decisive, but more importantly, their psychological warfare had worked perfectly. The aliens had been so convinced of human weakness that they walked into a trap 2 centuries in the making. Dr. Nathan Cross was already examining captured alien technology in his laboratory. The energy weapons and shield generators that had seemed so advanced were actually quite primitive when viewed through human eyes. The aliens had achieved impressive power levels, but their basic concepts were centuries behind human innovation. "Fascinating," Cross muttered as he studied an alien plasma cannon. "They've been using the same basic weapon designs for thousands of years. No wonder they were surprised by our kinetic projectiles." His assistant, Dr. Maria Rodriguez, looked up from her analysis of alien shield technology. "Their defensive systems are even more outdated. They assume all weapons work the same way theirs do. They never considered that someone might use brute force physics instead of exotic energy." Commander Lisa Park was interrogating captured alien officers in the secure facilities aboard the TDF Storm. The aliens were cooperative, still shocked by their complete defeat. Through careful questioning, Park was learning valuable intelligence about Council military capabilities and political structure. "Tell me about your fleet positions in the Outer Rim," Park said to a captured Korthak captain. The alien, still wearing bandages from his injuries, answered without hesitation. "The Council maintains 17 battle fleets in that sector," he replied. "But Admiral, your ships, How did you build such weapons? How did you hide so many vessels? Our sensors detected nothing. Park smiled but didn't answer his questions. Let the aliens wonder about human capabilities. Fear of the unknown was often more powerful than fear of the known. Captain Ryan Blake was leading a diplomatic mission to the Council capital world. But this was not a mission of surrender or negotiation for membership. Blake's orders were to deliver an ultimatum that would change the balance of power in the galaxy. Blake's ship, now openly displaying Earth's military insignia, approached Nexus Prime under heavy escort from human warships. The Council had sent their own escorts, but both sides maintained careful distance. No one wanted to start another battle so soon after the first. Nexus Prime Control, this is Captain Blake, of the Terran vessel Horizon, Blake transmitted as they approached the planet, requesting permission to dock for diplomatic purposes. The response came quickly, tinged with nervousness. Permission granted, Terran vessel. You are cleared for docking Bay 7. Please maintain peaceful intentions. Blake almost laughed at the request. The mighty Galactic Council, which had conquered hundreds of worlds, was asking humans to please be peaceful. How quickly their attitude had changed. On the surface of Nexus Prime, Blake was escorted to the Council chambers by heavily armed guards who seemed more nervous than protective. The Council members sat in their traditional circle, but their usual confidence was replaced by obvious anxiety. Captain Blake, said Council Leader Vorth, an ancient being whose species had founded the Council millennia ago. We welcome you to our capital. We hope we can reach some understanding about recent events. Blake stood in the center of the A circle, representing not just Earth but the principle that forced membership was wrong. His words would echo across the galaxy and reach every world under Council control. Council Leader Vorth, honored members, Blake began formally. I bring you greetings from Earth and a message from the human government. He paused, looking each Council member in the eye before continuing. The people of Earth have observed your organization for 2 centuries. We have seen how you operate. We know about the worlds you have conquered under the pretense of peaceful integration. We know about the species you have enslaved or eliminated when they ceased to be useful. The Council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. These were accusations they had never faced from anyone with the power to challenge them. Therefore, Blake continued, Earth makes the following demands. The Galactic Council will immediately cease all forced integration activities. You will release any species currently held against their will. You will respect the sovereignty of independent worlds that choose not to join your organization. Council Leader Vorth's eyes widened. And if we refuse these demands? Blake smiled, the same confident expression that Admiral Morrison had worn during his broadcast. Then Earth's 1,000 warships will personally ensure compliance with our requests. We have proven that Council military forces cannot stand against human technology and tactics. He gestured toward the viewing screens that showed images of Earth's fleet in orbit around Nexus Prime. Consider this demonstration of our peaceful intentions. We could have destroyed your capital world and scattered your fleets across the galaxy. Instead, we chose to give you an opportunity to change your ways. Blake's final words carried the weight of absolute certainty. The galaxy is changing, Council members. The age of forced conquest is ending. Species will join together by choice, not by force. Earth will make sure of that. As Blake left the Council chambers, he knew that his message would spread to every corner of the galaxy. The small, quiet world that had ignored every invitation had finally spoken. And when Earth spoke, the entire galaxy listened.